Thank you. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you, depending on where you are joining us from. We have participants joining us today from different parts of the world, from Asia to Oceania. And I'm Chatri Jayasuriya, Advocacy Advisor for SOS Children's Villages International Office Asia. A warm welcome to all of you from SOS Children's Villages on behalf of the Organizing Committee of the International Caregivers Convention 2020. So as some of you may already be aware, this is the first International Caregivers Convention, originally scheduled to be held in March this year as an in-person event in India. But unfortunately, we had to postpone the event due to the COVID pandemic. But we continued our engagement with the caregivers who had registered for the event previously throughout the past several months, which also helped us kind of understand the impact of the pandemic on this particular group of youth. And they also collectively developed an International Caregivers Declaration in the process, which is currently open for endorsement by any interested organization. We will post the link on the chat box. Do have a look. By the way, for those of you who are not familiar with the terminology, caregivers are individuals who have lived in alternative care as children and exited from there at the age of maturity or the age of majority as per the country's law. And this is mostly 18 years. Anyway, as a result of all these engagements, we realized that it is critical to address the issues faced by caregivers, who are one of the most marginalized and vulnerable groups of youth, especially at a time like this when we are hit by a major global pandemic. It is necessary to strengthen and amplify the voices of caregivers, give them that space to voice out their concerns and aspirations, and help them connect with policymakers, service providers, and other stakeholders who can address these issues. And it is also important that the caregivers themselves drive this process. And this is something we are currently working on together with some of the caregivers networks. So with those intentions, it was finally decided to conduct the convention as a series of online events from October to December. And this constitutes of 4 pre-convention webinars each week starting from today. Then the main event or the convention from 23rd to 25th November, and another follow-up event in December. We will post the links on the chat box once again. So today's webinar is organized and hosted by SOS Children's Villages on behalf of the organizing committee. So without further ado, let's move on to today's program, which is a panel discussion or dialogue between representatives of caregivers networks and representatives of civil society organizations supporting such networks on the role and importance of peer-led networks of caregivers. The panelists come from 4 different regions, namely Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. And we have 2 young moderators who are caregivers themselves. So Karishma and Ruth, the floor is all yours. And I would also like to request those of you in the audience to post questions and comments on either the chat box or using the Q&A option. And the panelists or one of us from the team will respond to them. Thank you and enjoy.
Hello to all the wonderful people on this virtual platform. Welcome again to the panel discussion. How do I connect with the larger world? The need of peer-led network. I am Karishma Singh from Caregivers Association and Network of India, and I have my co-host here, Ruth.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever part of the world you're joining from. My name is Ruth Washuka, and I am representative of Kenya Society of Caregivers, which is in Kenya, Africa. Africa is a big continent of 54 countries, and I am proud to have the chance to be here. Thank you so much, Karishma.
So today we are going to have 4 caregivers from different regions. So today we have a very distinguished panel. On the one side, we have 4 caregivers, starting from Jeffrey, representing the Zimbabwe Caregivers Network, Nimu Kumari from the Generation Never Give Up Network in Sri Lanka, Fabine from the Association Caregivers Austria, and Nahala representing the Caregivers Network in Egypt. And although not present here in person, we have a video representation of the Voices of Latin America Caregivers Network as well.
And also on the other side, I love that we have had representatives of organizations from different parts, and part of us is that we are joined by Mr. Divakar, who is the National Director of SOS Villages. We have Martin, who is the Director of Kinder Perspective. I hope that is the right pronunciation. And then we have Yasmin, who's the Youth Development Senior Specialist at Watanea Society in Egypt. Natasha, who is the Gender and Public Policy Officer at the South African Parliamentary Support Trust in Zimbabwe. So when we are here today, we know it's quite a global panel joining all of us here today. So we go ahead to watching the video from Latin America.
So today we are going to talk about why network. Yeah, we started the video.
Aviral, just hold a second.
Yeah, just
Yes,
a second, please.
Kiran.
So today we are going to talk about why networking is important for caregivers and the role of caregivers network, the benefits, challenges, and everything in between. I think what our friends in Latin America have to say would give us a good entry point. So let us have a look on the video made by them.
Hola, mi nombre es Daily, pertenezco a la Fundación Despiertas de Ecuador y hoy te saludamos desde la Red Latinoamericana de Jóvenes Egresados del Sistema de Protección, que conforman 10 países de Latinoamérica y 20 organizaciones de sociedad civil. Contar con un comité de jóvenes dentro de la red nos permite conocer más acerca de cada país, de qué forma trabajan o manejan una situación. ¿Por qué es importante una red de jóvenes egresados? ¿Y por qué es importante durante la pandemia? Es importante ya que existen más oportunidades, además de que buscamos soluciones justas, equitativas y progresistas entre todos. Los jóvenes podemos ser una fuerza positiva para el desarrollo cuando se nos brinda el conocimiento y las oportunidades que necesitamos para prosperar. Por el hecho de haber estado en un sistema de protección, tenemos una perspectiva diferente de la vida. Por ello, es importante que alcemos nuestra voz y que ésta sea escuchada. Pertenecer a una red de egresados nos da la oportunidad de incidir y lograr cambios en el ámbito laboral, educativo y social. Todos los que hemos estado en el sistema de protección sabemos que estos cambios son necesarios. Estar en una red de jóvenes es de suma importancia, ya que nos muestra que existen más personas que han pasado por situaciones similares, y eso nos impulsa a buscar cambios. Durante la pandemia, el mundo nos ha obligado a permanecer aislados, y saber que cuentas con un grupo de jóvenes que nos escuchan, que están ahí para levantarte o brindarnos una palabra de apoyo, ha sido de suma importancia. Por eso, desde la Red Latinoamericana de Jóvenes Egresados, te invitamos a que seas parte y de que tú también formes tu comité o red. Impulsa el cambio.
Hola, mi nombre es Jazmín, tengo 20 años, soy parte de la Red Latinoamericana del Sistema de Protección. También soy parte de Guía Egreso, que es un colectivo de jóvenes que vivimos o que ya egresamos de los hogares. Trabajamos hace 10 años con esta temática y tenemos un grupo consolidado acá en Buenos Aires y en 2 provincias de Argentina. Creo que es importante a la hora del egreso poder contar con el hogar y con el Estado, ¿no? De alguna manera, no sé, las instituciones públicas que nos acompañen o que nos den oportunidades laborales o que nos den oportunidades de vivienda o que nos guíen de alguna manera. Yo siento que solamente tuve el acompañamiento de mis referentes, que son personas que fui conociendo y que se fueron quedando a lo largo de mi tránsito por el hogar. Entonces me sentí muy acompañada por mis referentes, pero por nadie más. Creo que si no las tuviera ellas, mi vida sería totalmente distinta. Y considero que es muy difícil poder acompañar a un grupo de jóvenes o a una red de jóvenes, porque es complejo poder abordar ciertas temáticas o es complejo poder llevar a cabo ciertas actividades, pero sí está bueno y es una aventura que hay que ir construyendo, y además trae frutos buenos y es interesante y está bueno. Así que les mando muchos saludos, espero que se encuentren bien y espero en algún momento poder conocerlos o conocerlas presencialmente o de manera virtual. Y les dejo todo mi apoyo y todo lo que necesiten de alguna manera. Saludos y nos vemos.
Buen día, mi nombre es Mario Luis Bustios, miembro de la Red Latinoamericana de Jóvenes Egresados del Sistema de Protección. Desde nuestra experiencia creemos que es importante contar con una red de jóvenes, una red donde tu opinión y tu experiencia sea tomada en cuenta y pueda ayudar a mejorar las condiciones de otros jóvenes. Es importante poder ayudarnos entre pares, no solo de manera económica, sino de manera emocional y sentimental. Es por esto que les invitamos a formar sus redes. Al principio será complicado convencer a nuestros pares, pero si nos unimos y hacemos un intercambio de experiencias, vamos a tener mejores resultados. Esto no es una carrera, sino es una red de apoyo, en la cual vamos sumando nuevos jóvenes a fin de poder ayudarnos, mejorando el futuro y el presente de cada uno de nosotros. Como jóvenes nos toca asumir, de hoy en adelante, nuestro futuro. Empoderarnos y capacitarnos. Todavía hay un largo camino por recorrer. Nos toca asumir nuestras decisiones y mejorar el futuro de las niños, niñas y adolescentes que pronto estarán donde nosotros nos encontramos. Cada uno de nosotros podemos aportar nuestro pequeño granito de arena que ayudará el día de mañana a mejorar las condiciones a las cuales los niños, niñas y adolescentes saldrán de sus centros de acogida. Muchas gracias.
Wow, that is so amazing to hear from our Latin American brothers and sisters. And one of the things I was able to pick is to see the importance of just people coming together. And what the pandemic did actually is that the caregivers continue to be very isolated. And at a time when there was lockdown, you realize that that is when you need family more. But this was not the case for people without a family. And so having caregivers coming together is very important because that is the family you have. Something else I picked and I loved it is that this is not a sprint. And I love that there's someone who say that if you want to go too fast, go alone. But if you want to go too far, go as a team. And so I am very certain that we want to work as a team because this is not a sprint and we really want to go far. And the other one is that there is someone has a piece of sand that they want to bring to the table. And so when everyone is contributing to this building because we want to build this empire, we make sure that we are coming together and we are not able to achieve this alone. And it takes me back to reflect on Kenya Society of Caregivers 10 years when people came together. Started very small, but then people realized that, yeah, we can reach out to another person, and that is when Kenya Society of Caregivers was formed. That was really to give a safety net and something like a fallback plan. Like caregivers feel they can always come home. Why? Because sometimes they never have an opportunity to go back to the institutions where they grew up from. But then we realized there was a major responsibility to be advocates of the rights of children. And that is what we have been doing for the rest of the 10 years, including empowering our very own to heal from the past trauma. And so I just want to invite Nemo to tell us how the next generation, the next Never Give Up network was formed, just a little bit of what inspired that, and perhaps we are able to pick the similarities between all of this. So welcome, Nemo, and tell us a little bit about your network.
Hello, Ivon, and good evening, good morning to all of you. And I'm Nimu from Sri Lanka and proud to here to be as a speaker. And first, I would like to say the Generation Never Give Up Network. Before that, we were started SOS Sri Lanka. They were started the campaign on 2017, 27th July. The campaign was 18 plus. We are still here with you. So on that day, they have founders for caregivers, who was the pioneer member of Generation Never Give Up Network. Me, myself, I'm from Sarodi Institution, and there were two my friends, sisters from SOS Children's Village, Iresha and Shashikala, and the Moses from the Fritz Room. Four of us were in the panel, and we were discussing about how we were in the children's homes, and when we go outside, what was happened to us. These kind of issues we were talking on the event, and from there we have found so many people to help us. And at that time we also realized that, oh, we are started well and we studied well, and now we are in the good position, but there can be so many caregivers who need support. So on that sense, we had a discussion again with the SOS Children's Village, and we have decided to have a network. So to be lucky, we are really lucky to have SOS with us, because on October 2017, we have we have just collected 47 caregivers from Sri Lanka in the first time, and we have decided the name for our network called Generation Never Give Up. So in the beginning, we have just be silent for 1 year, but in 2018, we have start again the active in the society. But at first time, the pushing from the SOS village, we have start again to fight again regarding to our rights and whatever we want to get to our life. So in 2018, as a Generation Network, we were just get so many opportunities to attend, especially you won't believe that we have never been in the parliament in Sri Lanka, but as a children, they was a part of organizing committee, this parliament oversight committee, and they were just invite us also to discuss about the very big issue was in birth certificate for the caregivers, because we don't have some caregivers don't have the probable birth, they don't have a birth certificate, they have just probable birth certificate, and there was just written their name and the birth. There was some birth certificate, they are just blank, the father's name and mother's name. So many issues came from the birth certificate. So we have took this problem to the parliament committee, and there were so many good feedback for us. And finally, the best achievement in our as a network, we were able to change the kind of law and the rights for the children and for caregivers. Not only for the caregivers, they have finally decided to remove the marital status in our birth certificate. That was a big victory for the Generation Never Give Up Network. And also we are proudly share that as a network, we were done so many things to the children who are still living in the children homes also. So government of orphanages homes there, sometimes they just called us to have an inspirational session for the care who is still in the care. So we have got so many chances to visit the homes. And also I must say that there were so many international events as a Generation Never Give Up Network. We have faced to that event also. So I just want to share one thing, that now you are looking at to me from my laptop. You don't believe that how I got this my laptop. Actually, as a Generation Never Give Up Network member, I got a chance to take part of the member of UN resolutions team, which was given this chance by SOS Sri Lanka. So I must thank for them again. Then they have just paid me for a small amount, and I just bought this laptop for work for the GNG network. So I'm really happy. This is my personal life victory. And also we have did so many awareness programs in Sri Lanka regarding to strengthening the employability of Sri Lankan youth caregivers. And we have now also in government system, they have just given the job opportunities for the underprivileged families, and they have just asked from who are the caregivers registered on Generation Never Give Up Network. Also, they are giving chance to work in the government. So these kind of things we are just getting because of networking. And so because of that, I think Generation Never Give Up Network, that's really doing amazing when working in Sri Lanka. And I must say thank you for SOS, firstly because they are the one who pushing us. And always whatever the event we are organizing, these all events are happening in the SOS place, and all they are covering our budget also. So because we don't have budget, and we have 18 plus alliance group who are also helping to us. And I must say thank you for all. And the one who is listening to this here, if there is, so there are so many caregivers, so I just want to say at last the one thing, the caregivers, my sisters and brothers, the people will hate you, some people will hate you, break you, shake you, but how strong you stand is what makes you. This is for your life. And I must say thank you for even a single person in all the world who gave us even a single food plate when we were in the children home. Because of you guys, when you are giving us a food plate, you guys used to say like, we wish you a good future. Because of that wishes, we are now here, and we are proud to say we are caregiver at Enzyme. As a Generation Never Give Up Network, I must say thank you for SOS Children Village and all the caregivers who are presenting here, and also the Generation Never Give Up Network members who are registered to the event. Thank you all.
Wow, I know my co-host Karishma has a lot to say and comment on that, but that is so impressive, and I'm so happy to hear what is happening on the other side of the globe. Nimo, you're so inspirational, and one of the things I loved is that you mentioned about the opportunities that was given to you. One of the things, before I even mention more about what Kenya Society of Cancer, I just want to pick some of the common things that you said. And you realize the purchase of a laptop comes by a given opportunity that has been paid for. One of the things that we keep saying and we keep doing as caregivers, we have been talking about more than our stories. Nemo is more than her story, and there's something she can bring to the table and, earn from it and get herself a laptop. It happens many times where we have spoken about care living as a subject and how they, their stories, the terrible and traumatic stories that caregivers continue to experience. But many times we fail to recognize that they also have a certain expertise that they can bring to the table that can also be used to empower their own personal lives. Look at the issue of the birth certificate. That is something that has also been happening on this other world. And I'm just happy to see that you intentionally support caregivers within your network. Animos, thank you so much again. And I am just looking forward to see how much we can learn from each other. And it keeps reminding me that this is a global problem. It's a global issue. It's not an Asian problem, not an African problem. So just want to talk a little bit about some of the activities in relation to that. It's the Kenya Society of Caregivers. When the network was formed, and the reason I'm saying is this, it was the first one in the region, and we perhaps have a lot to share. We may not share everything because, like my friend Chatori said, that time is always our enemy. But at this point, I just want to pick a few of the things that living care can really be traumatic, and we have had many traumatizing stories. One of the things we realized is that we cannot focus in life without having to give caregivers a chance to heal. And so Kenya Society of Caregivers has been doing a trauma healing session for young people. We call it singing to the lions, and I say it's singing to the lions because lions are the most feared animals in Kenya. It could be singing to the cobra in India or whatever other part of the country. And singing symbolizes the way we respond. So we make sure that we are supporting caregivers to be able to heal from trauma. And it's just the way they respond to their fears. Years ago, a group of our members visited an orphanage. This is a sad story, but this is one of the passion projects I love about Kenya Society of Caregivers. And before they visited, we had one caregiver who passed on, and it's a norm in in funeral services, the way they are conducted, that there is a photograph, a picture of the dead. Yeah, and this is in line with the memory. But it happened that for this particular young person or for this particular caregiver, there was not even one photo of themselves. Yet they had lived their life in the orphanages with people taking photos of them and living and never like giving a copy back. So it just reminds us how memories are important when we are growing up. But what happens to children who grew up in orphanages? Who is intentional about it? And it's so Kenya Society of Caregivers launched 1,000 and Memories project, where we visit orphanages, take photos, make albums, and give them to kids. So once they are grown and they're adults, they are able to see their steps right from how they were when they were young to how they are transitioning to adult. I know people who grew up in families may not think this is a huge thing or it's a point of concern, but I can tell you literally it is. Then I'm coming to advocacy because that is how we are able to connect all of us here today. That Kenya Society of Caregivers has been, and we continue to empower caregivers to be strong advocates of children. And one of the things we've done is that we have taken part in the global platforms, both global, regional, and national, including the United Nations General Assembly that had 193 countries recognize that orphanages are harmful to children and that we all should embrace family-based care. We have also had representatives from the UK Parliament asking policies that are leading, policies that are speaking so much into family-based care as opposed to supporting institutions and many others. And of course, we could not have done this by being a single caregiver in a community. We have to come together as a team so that we are able to have these opportunities to be able to challenge the government, challenge the policymakers, and also ask people to be accountable. Above that, we have had other things. I know you'll be wondering, but what do you really do to your individual? And for us, being able to link them to opportunities that really empower them and either through job opportunities, also during the COVID-19 pandemic, being able to sort of 97, it's sad, but 97% of the caregivers who reached out to us did not have food on the table. But what are we able? Are we able to bring resources together from our partners to be able to help and say that we can respond? It's an emergency kind of response to COVID-19. But over and beyond, as I'm asking my co-host Karishma to say something, is that I just want to recognize the importance of coming together. You cannot challenge a government about birth certificates when you're an individual. You have to be a group of you. And I know some of us here and Jeffries and the rest will add something to that. So thank you so much. And Karishma, you can take over.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Sorry to intervene here, but just to make an announcement to the audience that from time to time we are taking a few polls to engage you. So we are now ready for the first poll. Aviral, if you can put it up. So a request from the audience just to take a few seconds to respond. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, yes, you can see the results now. Yes, we can see like 55% have said yes, there are caregivers networks, which is encouraging. Yes. Okay, over to you, Karishma.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Nimo and Ruth, to you too as well, for sharing all about your caregiver network. This was so inspiring, and I really loved the energy you both have. And first of all, I would like to mention, Nimo, to you, that this name that you guys have given, Generation Never Give Up, I really love the name that you guys have provided to your network. It is very inspiring, and it somehow motivates when you hear this name, Generation Never Give Up, and makes you realize that you do not have to give up no matter what happens. And I really, like the idea about the birth certificate, how you guys are working on that, and how you guys have also worked on the, employment opportunities for caregivers, and also got some job opportunities in the governmental sector for caregivers. And coming to Ruth, I really love the idea that you guys are working on trauma healing, which is very, very important. So the question is, why are children coming to CCIs, childcare institutions? And we must not forget that every child who is coming to NGOs or CCIs, it's because they have something really bad happened to them, some trauma, and because of that their foundation shakes. There are a lot of cracks in the foundation, and it is very, very important that we work on the healing for their overall development. Second, I really love the idea how Ruth and her team is working, her network is working on the memories, like collecting pictures and sharing it with their children. And I really love the spirit of working together that she talked about. And it is really sad to hear that in the time of COVID-19, she mentioned that a lot of caregivers did not have any food to eat, and it is very upsetting. And we all can see the condition of some of the caregivers. And yeah, so here I would also like to talk a little bit about my network, which was association and network. So in 2018, when I joined the Delhi chapter of Caregivers Association and Network, I knew that it was a common purpose that brought us together. Meeting young people from similar experience from different cities made me feel supported, and also made me realize that there is a lot has to be done, starting from the mental healing to overall development of caregivers. And we worked together since then. From 20 members, we are now 80. And we talk, we share, we do workshops with children still in residential care. Our care experience can really influence and also, when we met the caregivers from Germany in December, which was last year, our vision broadened and we connected with each other very well. And since then, we knew that there is no looking back. Also, when I see different networks in Sri Lanka, Kenya, including Germany, and other networks, it tells us that there is a long, long way to go for us. And also being part of the International Caregivers Group through the process of developing the declaration was very enriching, and the clan aspires that all the needs identified in the declaration one day are fulfilled. So networks such as clan can be a change maker, and we can really support all the caregivers in a big way. Our collective voices cannot be ignored by anyone, and that is our strength, and clan stands by this. Recently, we have been expanding by sharing our daily collective experiences to motivate caregivers collectives in other states like Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat. We all have a long way to go, and all of us present here must stay connected, support each other, and hold each other together. We will surely bring powerful and meaningful changes in so many lives. Yeah. So now let us hear from our friend from Austria, Fabina. Fabine, tell us about your network, how you started, and what kind of activities you guys are engaged in.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Thank you that I'm given the opportunity to talk here today to you. I will tell you something about our network. I'm the vice president of the Austrian Caregivers Association. And we started our association, or the idea of the association was born 2 years ago in 2018. We had some caliber projects going on at the time in Austria. It was called a caliber dialogue, who wanted to put together some calibers to be able to talk to official people from the government, etc., politicians notably. And it was a great opportunity to see other calibers from other parts of our country, and we came together and we connected instantly, and we wanted to keep in touch, and we had this thing in our mind. Yeah, we want to to stay in touch, but also with the project, and maybe like put it like improve the project. So we decided, well, an association wouldn't be a bad idea, and we were really inspired by the German Care Leave Association. And we said, well, that's our neighbors, so maybe we should do the same. And yeah, and now what we're doing now with our association is first we are a contact point for all of the caregivers in Austria. We try to connect them. We participate in a lot of projects. For example, yeah, we speak with the politicians. We have also podium discussions at different conferences. This could be social conferences like the International Care Day 2020, or political discussions. And we try to participate also as mentors. For example, we have now 2 care leavers who are mentors for other care leavers or for soon-to-be care leavers. So they try to help them a bit in the living care process. And I really like this idea, because these are care leavers who really went through the same experience, and so they can, I think they can support the soon-to-be care leavers in a really good way. And we also did some workshops, and we co-trained with other trainers, soon-to-be social workers. It was a great experience, and we had a lot of positive feedback from them. They said, yeah, it's kind of great when you're here and you can speak about your experience, but directly with the soon-to-be social workers, and so maybe you're able to give them kind of a small sparkle. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fabienne, for your presentation. I did actually hear you speak during the Global Child in Care Summit. It's just so impressive to see what all of us are doing. And just even to imagine that there is a network. I love the care leaver dialogue because it sounds very intentional to me. You know, it's not just a dialogue, but it's a care leaver dialogue. And so that's just one of the things that we need to be really, really, really intentional. And also, you know, the social working thing, I was reading an article that said we need to really pay much attention to social workers or social working in itself, because it's a need today, it was a need yesterday, it will be a need tomorrow, looking at our societies today. And so I am just excited that I'll be bringing on board my sister from Egypt. We all have had a lot of stories about Egypt, but I just want to bring her on board to give us a little bit about, you know, just allow us to come into your space and learn what the Egyptians are doing, and also your recognition, because you have done a lot and you have achieved a lot. So I'm welcoming Nahla from Egyptian Association of Care Leavers, and just to get to hear what she has for us today.
Okay. Good morning, Ruth and Karishma, and to all present. First, I would love to thank everyone for inviting me to represent the Middle East Care Leavers Network. Really, I'm feeling proud and honored to be here at the first webinar, Care Leavers webinar. Okay, let's talk about our Egyptian network. It was initially started as a program, or established as a program for developing the young orphans in Egypt. Bearing in mind, in Egypt, there was no such an organization which focused specifically on the development of young orphans. And so, FORSA program was set up in 2010 for the development of young orphans aged 13 years, to help them to develop their skills and discover their talents, and also to prepare them for effective integration into society. Then recently we started our network, our care leavers network, or we called it in Egypt a forum. It's a Forza forum. Forza, it means a chance or opportunity. So it's Forza forum for young orphans aged over 18. It was established in 2017. We meet once a month to discuss the orphans cause and how to empower ourselves, and also to come up with ways how to overcome the challenging we're facing here as care leavers in Egypt today.
When I started, we said that this was a global forum. Now look at what our sister is doing. And it's just so impressive, but I just want to have my co-host say something. I can see her smiling. I know she's really impressed.
Thank you, Ruth. Really.
Yeah, so what Nala has shared with us, it was... yeah, Nala, you have something to say? Nala, you want to say something? No, go ahead. If you want to share something, please go ahead.
No, I just want to thank everyone, and of course I will have the space to talk more about my NGOs and what we achieved and what we achieved last years. Yes. Thank you.
So thank you, Nala. It was lovely to see your energy, and we are looking forward to hear more from you about your work. Now I would like to welcome Jeffrey from Zimbabwe Care Leavers Network. I'm sure that he has a lot of interesting stories to share with us. Over to you, Jeffrey.
Thank you very much, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are. Here in Zimbabwe, it's still morning. So I will say good morning to my Zimbabwean colleagues who are joined in this convention. My name is Jeffrey Chasi. I'm a programs coordinator for Zimbabwe Care Leavers Network. I want to acknowledge the presence of my director, Mr. Gift Zorai, who is amongst us. In 2016, SOS Children's Village, they did a survey in employability. They wanted to see what care leavers are doing in terms of where are they working, how are they working in Zimbabwe. So I was part and parcel of the participants team. So when SOS Children's Village research team came to Medriske Children's Home, and I was part and parcel of the participants, we did a declaration to say no. At this point now, we need a network in Zimbabwe, which represents Zimbabwe Care Leavers Network, which represents those who have left care. Because we've seen there was quite much a gap between the care leavers and the government, and we said this gap needs to be addressed by the government, and who's going to represent us? And there was none other than us ourselves to create the network and represent for ourselves, because we understand better ourselves. So in 2018, that's when now we gathered all together. We gathered from people from all the provinces, 10 provinces of Zimbabwe. And we did a workshop which was sponsored by SOS Zimbabwe. And on that workshop, that's when we said, no, let's formulate an organization that is going to represent us as care leavers, and which is going to make our plights heard with the Zimbabwean government. Because with the constitution of Zimbabwe, it says all children who have passed through, all people who have passed through an alternative care are government's property. So we are still government's property. So we said, if we are still government's property, so why can't government recognize us as their children, and also treat us as their children. That is the journey. That's when the journey started of the network. We formulated a network. We registered it, and we started. Executing some of our projects, our programs, and so we have decided to distinguish what we are going to do. So we have an advocate side, and we have got a programming side. So I'll start with the advocating one. In 2018, October 2018, we held our first ever conference in Zimbabwe, Care Leavers Network, where we invited care leavers around Zimbabwe. And on that conference, we were more than 200 care leavers in terms of, because of our budget, we didn't have much in our budget, as it was sponsored by SOS Children's Village Zimbabwe. So they didn't have much because they haven't budgeted for it, but we just said, please, can you help us so that we can gather more views of care leavers around Zimbabwe? So we held our first ever conference where we droned our 4 pillars that we are operating with on. First, we have health and well-being pillar. Secondly, we have housing and accommodation. Thirdly, we have education, training, empowerment, and employment. And thirdly is the sustainable livelihood. We came with these 4 pillars after we discussed with other care leavers in Zimbabwe. Then we said, what we want, we are not asking for much. We only want, if I'm being discharged at an institution on 18 years, surely I can actually pose a question to each and everyone who's here, or those who have not grown up in an alternative care. At 18 years, what will you do if you are being told to say, now you're an independent person, you should do everything by yourself, and and without anything that you can do, it's a big challenge. So we said, no, this is what we want. At least that's going to take us to somewhere. So if you are being discharged at an institution, I think as an institution or as the government, they need to make sure that you are actually going somewhere to have a good shelter, just a shelter, so where you can lay your head. Do you have food? Is your health being taken care of? Is your personal development? Most of the children who have gone under alternative care, some of them, in terms of their development or in terms of education, their life has been disturbed. Maybe that person was raped. Maybe that person didn't have parents. So that person has been disturbed or a year. So, when turning 18, most of the guys will be at least almost Form 2 or Form 3. They haven't yet finished their school. So at that point, if you have reached 18, you are being discharged, and without finishing your school, where would you get the support to finish your education? As all the support from the government, they will cease whenever you are discharged at 18. So who is going to take care of your development after an institution? So, so we drawn those pillars. That's why we need to advocate for these pillars so that every child or every young person who's going to be discharged from an alternative care, at least she or he must have at least these things, so that on a personal development, this person must not be disturbed. So it's actually, that's when we drove our motivation, so we are also a human being. We are also entitled to a life. So I don't think it would be good for the government, or they would break for that to say we have taken care of such and such from 0 to 18 years. Then after 18 years, they're taking back him to the street where they took him 18 years ago. So would they have done justice to a person? It's a it doesn't work. It doesn't give a good picture. So. When we did our first conference, I think most of the policymakers were there. Most of them, they were not in agreement. They were not in agreeing on what we were trying to put across to them. But it takes perseverance, to just trying to make them understand what we are saying. Because most of the policymakers, they didn't go through the alternative care. So they just have a normal life, a normal, family life. But we, as caregivers, we didn't have that, a family like care. For myself, I grew up in a dormitory situation. So I didn't know what is a family like care is. So, it was a challenge for me to understand. And also to make caregivers, those who have gone through alternative care, to, they are slow learners, because they grew up in a rural setup, in a confined place. They were not allowed to go out, visit their friends, do whatever they want to do, But if they go out, they are slow they are very slowly, they are slow learners, because they are exposed to what they were not used to them. So it was one of the most deliberate thing at the conference, so that to make the world actually bear with them, say, please, we know we didn't grow up the way you grew, so give us a chance, to formulate to where you are, because the society has started to stigmatize those caregivers from, say they didn't grow up in a family life, and it's very difficult, and it's a stigma which can cause someone to depression. And then in 2018, we went to see the Minister of Child Labor and Social Welfare. Actually, we said no, we want to push more in terms of our plight and everything. So we went to see the minister. We did a meeting with the minister herself. She was Segesai Nzenza at that time. We discussed about how can the government intervene in terms of taking care of children and young people we have left care. And we discussed at length, trying to make see and understand where we are coming from and and that meeting actually produced fruitful results in terms of she understood and she tried by all means to disseminate information to the subordinates, and it was not easy. We faced challenges, resistance, and in 2019, February 13, we presented our petition to the government of Zimbabwe. We presented our petition to the government of Zimbabwe, trying to make the government hear our plight, what we are suffering from, the basics that we want. And honestly, the government actually considered our petition, and then there was a survey which was done, and they wrote the recommendation which the Department of Social Welfare and the Minister of Labor and Child Welfare should do in terms of policy. So at the present moment that we are speaking right now, most of the policies are being most of the policies that we said they need to be changed. They are very old. Most of them 1998, 1989, you know, and now we're in 2020, you know, those policies are still there. So we said these policies are old, they are no longer viable with the current era that we are. So the government of Zimbabwe noted that, and they did the survey, and their research actually showed what we were saying. It was correct, and now we are in a formulation of having new policies who are being drafted, and the government actually gave the deadline for all these policies, which are need to be crafted newly, December 2020. And we have done quite a lot of advocacy in terms of bringing care leavers' plights to the government and to relevant departments. You know, it doesn't need only one department for a care leavers issue. I think a care leavers issue is actually a small government on its own. You know, if a child is being discharged, they need a whole lot of ministries to be together so that they can work together for a betterment of a care leaver, of a child who's being discharged. So I think it's a mini government from a government perspective. Yeah. Currently, as the Department of Social Welfare, they have actually engaged us in coming up with the new orphan care policy review. With the new orphan care policy review, they've considered us, said, no, we need to do an orphan care policy review. That so they said, we cannot do it without you guys because you have got the experience that, because you have went through the system. So we need you on board and you should take part in this process. So we're actually taking part in that process. And also, we are trying by all means to advocate for a fund from the government of Zimbabwe. So where SAPT has supported us so much, and also SOS has also supported us in that manner. I think last week, the whole of last week, we're out in different provinces trying to advocate for an aftercare support, at least to have a safety net for a care leaver, you know, which is coming from the government. I think that's all what I can say. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening.
Thank you so much, Jeffries. And it's an honor that your network and you as a person we've been able to work together and meet. Interesting that in 2018, when Zimbabwe Network of Care Leavers was holding the conference, they did invite us over. And I can tell you for sure that they're one of the networks that are very fierce. I keep telling them your way of doing things. You guys are just activists. And at the time, I'm not sure that has changed. Their motto was confronting reality together. And they invited the government to the meeting that was so fierce. And they were asking the government, tell us about the money you budgeted for. Where is the money? You know, head on. I just love to see networks getting really fired up for this. And Zimbabwe Network of Care Leavers is one of those networks that they really mean what they say. They keep saying, if we cannot be actionable, then we don't know why we are coming together. So thank you so much, Jeffries, for all the work you're doing, even challenging your parliamentarians. It's not an easy thing to challenge a parliament in a country, like even in our own country, and especially because of our leaders, but all that you guys are doing. I love that you think through the process and you're thinking about policy, because policy change is the only sure way for long-term change and sustainable change, because care leavers do not want quick fixes, we want sustainable things along their life. I just, we've heard so much about care leavers, and I know I should be going into the next session, but I just want to ask that we have a few minutes to respond to some of the comments we have. And so I just want to hand over to Chaturi if he's online.
Yes, Ruth, actually, thank you so much for that. Yes, and thank you so much to the audience, all of you there, for raising questions and, posting all these lovely comments, encouraging the caregivers. Thank you so much. I know we are all so inspired now, but let me take one moment once again for another poll. Aviral, would you mind putting it up, the second one, so that all of us can respond? And yes, may I also request the panelists to just open the Q&A tab, and some of you have already been responding, but there are some more remaining. If you can respond, you can type the response there itself. That would be great, because some have directed some questions to you. And some of you have raised some questions about the number of participants and number of participants from different countries. I'm sorry, at the moment we are unable to provide the numbers, specific numbers, but altogether we have 174. But where they are coming from, which parts of the world, we will be able to share the details only after the event. But we have so many from from various different regions and countries, which is lovely. So are you satisfied with the support given to Caregivers Network by civil society organizations? So it's almost like 50-50. 51% have said yes, but 49% have said no. So it does look like we have a long way to go still. So I think that is a very good entry point, Ruth, for us to enter into the second session of this panel discussion. So over to you.
So thank you so much. Yeah, are you satisfied with the support that civil society organizations are giving to caregivers networks? And this now brings me to the other side, because we have caregivers and organizations that have come on board and they're supporting different networks, but we also do know that it is not a reality to some of the countries. And so I have the pleasure of bringing over SOS director from Sri Lanka, Mr. Divakar, to just tell us why they chose to support a network of caregivers, and especially the generation Never Give Up. Why really? What made you make that decision? But first and foremost, thank you so much on their behalf for just even acknowledging that they need some support. And over to you, Divakar.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure, caregivers, and I would salute to all of you. There's a lot to learn from you guys, and for us to take it forward, definitely your voice is very, very important, and this is how we can go forward. And we have started in a very good way. The second question has very clearly given us an indication. It's 50-50, whether you get the support and you need the support. So it's up to the civil societies now how they could support. I coming from a background of SOS Children's Village, where SOS Children's Village work for children who have lost parental care and children who are at the risk of losing parental care. So when I say children who have lost parental care, it's mostly alternative care. It's like a family-like care. Why I say this is where we have someone even after 18 to look back for the youngsters. So as Jeffrey was mentioning, there are a lot of things to do plus 18 plus. So this is something I took it very seriously, and which not only SOS Sri Lanka, the Generation Never Give Up in Sri Lanka network is also working towards that. Once again, coming back to the organization, SOS works in 136 countries, especially for the children who have lost parental care and children who are at the risk of losing parental care. When I say children who have lost parental care, I repeat again, it's alternative care or family-like care. Then again, children who are at the risk of losing parental care means we support in the community so that children don't lose their parents and they can live with their parents. This is the two programs where we work on. Coming back to the question Ruth asked me with regard to the care leavers and why we support and what was the intention. It all started as Nimmu said. She really made me easy to answer because she has given most of the points. We all started with the 18 plus network where we wanted the care leavers, not only from SOS, mostly from outsiders, as well as to come to one place and to raise their issues. And we also invited parliamentarians to listen to this, not only other organizations, including parliamentarians. This is where the turning point started. So from there onwards, the Generation Never Give Up commenced, and SOS being the secretariat for 18 plus was very much interested when the Generation Never Give Up network started to push them. Because this network is the way we can go forward. As you can see now from these discussions, as well as from how you all are pointing out, if you have a strong network, definitely we can go forward and we can also sort out most of our problems what we have. The next point is Generation Never Give Up network in Sri Lanka, why SOS wanted to be strong. There are a lot of opportunities they get when they have the network, because they also work with the civil societies, organizations, NGOs, government, as well as peer group. They can support each other very much. This is where they play a major role. Nimmu couldn't mention, they are even working on a job bank where they could have rotate their jobs if they get qualifications. They can see whether there are jobs available, and this network could go back into that and then get jobs. So employment is one, then health-wise, if they need support, they can. Other than that, legal support, which is very, very important for care leavers. Once again, I would like to mention here where one of the care leavers were mentioning about 18 plus. Definitely there is an issue there. The policies has to be taken very seriously. And I personally prefer in this group, we should have invited some policymakers as well who could listen to our care leavers, because it's very important to listen. And more you listen, you can easily sort out most of the things. And however, going back again, why we want to support the care leavers is also to see that they are united and they are together. When they are united and when they are together, they could share most of the things very strongly. From this discussion itself, we saw they are going on a very good way forward. So it is up to push them, and we will have to support them to reach the goals. The other main thing why SOS wanted to support caregivers is to recognize them in the society. So when it came to an issue like a birth certificate issue, it was not easy to handle by an organization or an individual. We needed the care leavers so that they can represent in the parliament and inform the policymakers how to change certain things, how it looks, how emotionally it affects. Even sometimes they might have a probable birth certificate. It is not the original birth certificate. They might have a probable birth certificate. When they have that, and if the government officials doesn't know what this is, there again, they have an issue. Because then these care leavers will find it difficult to go for employment, take maybe a passport, maybe an identity card, all this. So this is one of the reasons why we wanted to support the care leavers. And that's why we wanted to support, we started with 18 plus, a network where most of the organizations got together. And thereafter, slowly, the Generation Never Give Up, as Nimmu stated, they started. Of course, now they are not rich, but they are becoming rich day by day. I can see things are happening in a positive way. And I see when they started during the COVID, they came out to help their peer groups. They supported by providing them food packs. Sometimes they provided money. And this all was not by SOS. This is by the 18+ network. Most of the people came forward to support them. When they do things genuinely, with a full-hearted goal, definitely people will help. And I repeat again, do it genuinely and start working towards your peer groups. This will support you. What you do now will support the younger ones who are living in the alternative care and make them see that they come back in the society strong and sound so that they don't need to be a dependent to anyone. So with that, I leave it here and I'll come back on my second round. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ratnaduraya sir. I really like the point where you raise this concern that after listening to us, how other civil society organizations are looking forward to support us. And it was so wonderful listening from you in all manners that you're supporting the Generation Never Give Up. Thank you very much, sir. We are looking forward to hear more from you. And now we have Ms. Martine. We know that you are supporting Care Leaver Network in Netherlands and beyond in a variety of different ways through Kinder Perspective and other programs and platforms. Can you please share with us what about the interesting work that you do and what inspires you to do all this?
Okay, thank you very much, Karisma. So to be honest with you, I was really humble. I already texted Chattery like, okay, if there's less time, please give the time to the care leaver and skip my contribution to this event because you are doing really a wonderful job. And I want to thank really the one who gave Nimou her computer, her laptop, because this is the first time since March that I had like goosebumps because of her contribution through a laptop screen. You know, this is really the new normal and we are working all from home through the computer, but it's very nice. Thank you all. So actually my name is Martina Tobay. I'm the director of Stichting Kinderperspectief. It's very hard to pronounce for all of you. It's actually Child's Perspective. Maybe this makes it a bit easier in the Netherlands. And actually I started my career in child and youth participation. So to be honest with you, I'm a kid of 2 social workers. So both of my parents are social workers and I was raised in a family with 2 foster brothers. So also the fact that Rolf mentioned that, you know, that really kids in care are lacking pictures and, you know, it's very hard to see something of their past. So I faced this myself because, you know, I, as the biological kid, you know, I had like plenty of photo books and I could look back to my youth like very, very easily. And my foster brothers, they almost had no picture at all. So this was like, very, very confronting also to me. So I think actually that my passion for child and youth care started at home at the kitchen table with my parents and my 2 foster brothers. In my first job, I supported so-called youth councils in the Netherlands. And since then, it's about 14 years ago now, youth participation is actually the red line in my work. And to share one story with you, you know, one boy, he really made me think about this child and youth participation because he said, you know, Martina, you are working in child and youth care. So actually, this is your job. But for me, it's my life. So he said, my life is your job. And this is something which we should always have in mind. So, you know, we are working maybe during office hours or we do have our shifts, but after that we are leaving and the children, they are staying, you know, in alternative care. So they are the experts and it's really important to take them seriously. So keep this in mind, like my life is your work or your work is my life. Currently, we at Kinderperspectief are supporting a network for care leavers in the Netherlands and 2 care leavers networks in Southeastern Europe. And I love to work with these young people because you feel their strong wish and ambition to make a change for the next generation of care leavers. And you know, when I see, for instance, Ruth speaking today, she's so motivated and dedicated to the job, you know, and this really sparkles. This is a sparkle which she's giving to all of us. And for me, it's very important the fact that these care leavers are investing their free time and energy in networks like this, that this is something we should really highly appreciate. Because in my opinion, even sometimes in a financial way, The advices of young people with care experience are so powerful that we should compensate their loss of income if they decide to take part in meetings to improve the care system or the aftercare system. Because sometimes what I see is that they are like joining our meetings and then they cannot go to work. And this means it's very, very, very important to compensate their lack of income so they can contribute to the care system. Raising awareness for this issue and the fact that young people are not always available during office hours is very important to make a new next step in child and youth participation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martina. Listening to you, I can tell how passionately you are. And I appreciate that you have been in this journey with us, you started planning for this. One of the things I want to echo, as you said, is that it's, and someone else has also said in the comment section, that they're expert, caregivers are expert in this specific field. But also something that really touched me when you said is that your job is my life, and yes, I'm going to take this away from me. But let's also just remember that the reason civil society organizations have chosen to support this is because there's an appreciation of the care living aspect, and that we come to a point where all countries and organizations will recognize the same. And until then, we have to push and push and push. I just want to add a point on top of that, that you realize not so many caregivers would love to join these sessions as this, but they were not able to join for one reason or the other. But at least Martin has a clue when she says, yeah, some of them continue to face the challenge of lost income. Some could not perhaps afford to be seated here and have access to internet. The digital divide is still something that we are talking about today. But I'm just saying this to put into perspective some of the challenges that caregivers continue to face, and just hope that all of us will come to a point that once we appreciate, and I was saying this in a meeting yesterday, that until we appreciate this, we'll never pride ourselves to achieving the United Nations 17 goals, because they're not sustainable if there is injustices in the society. They're not sustainable if caregivers are left behind. While every person is talking about leaving no one behind, but we really, really, really know that there's a group of young people that are left behind. And so I just want to say thank you for Martina and what you just bringing your perspective. I'm looking forward to perhaps learning more, and this is just an idea, and I'm thinking loud as we speak. We need a sharing where we can come together just to compare some of these things and recommendations forward. And so I will allow Karishma to just say something, because I love when she's impressed by some of the things that are also impressive on my end. So yeah, on the same page. So go ahead, Karishma.
Yeah, Ruth, I think I also really love the idea when Martini mentioned that it might be your job, it is your job for you, but it is my life. And I really, feel very much connected when she said that, because for many people, working in different organizations, it might be their 8 to 9, 5 to 8, 5 to 9, or 6 hours or 8 hours of job. But for us, it is our life. And there are many, many young children, those who do not have parents, those who do not have any support, they look up to you for all the love and support. So it is very, very important for all the social workers and all the people working with children to stay very, 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 very much connected with them and treat them as their own children. Yeah, so now I think I would like to invite Miss Natasha. We are very interesting. We are very interested in hearing about the Southern African Parliamentary Support Trust engages with the Zimbabwe care leavers. Please also share why you decided to engage with this group of youth. I welcome Ms. Natasha.
Thank you very much, Karishma. And good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to those who are now in the afternoon, and evening to those who are now in the evening. My name is Natasha Ntini, and I'm coming from an organization called the Southern African Parliamentary Support Trust, SAPST. So SAPST is an organization that is based in Zimbabwe, registered according to the laws of Zimbabwe, but we also have presence in Lesotho, Malawi, and Botswana. So we have now registration in those countries. We are also present in the East and the whole of Southern Africa. So some other countries we do not have registration yet, but we have like remote presence, and we have work that we carry out in the rest of the region. So SAPS, from the name parliamentary support, is a parliamentary-based organization to say we aim to support parliament. Our aim is to strengthen parliaments in order to make sure that they carry out their mandate in a good manner. You know that parliaments have got about 4 roles, traditional roles that we use to say parliament makes laws, parliament carries out oversight on government, parliament represents the electorate, and parliament also allocates resources. We say that parliaments have got the power of the purse. So the main aim of our organization is to strengthen parliament in order to make sure that they effectively carry out these 4 mandates. But how do we do that? We do that in 2 forms. We support the parliamentarians or parliament as an institution. Technically, you find that parliamentarians are political machines, and most of the times they just end up in parliament as a result of elections. And the way that elections take place, it's something that is that happens behind the scenes. But when they get parliament, they are dealing with legislation. Some of them are not even lawyers. Some of them are farmers. They're dealing with technical bills. They're dealing with the budget process. So what we do as an organization is we offer technical support. We've got lawyers, we've got economists. We offer technical support to those parliamentarians so that they will be able to carry out their mandate effectively through our technical support. And then the other form that we use to try and strengthen parliaments as institutions is to try and facilitate citizens' engagement with parliamentarians. I had most of you were talking about how policy is very important for caregivers, how you've engaged with parliaments. And you find that in most instances, the reason why we do not have these policies addressed is because our caregivers do not know how to do it, or our citizens do not know where to knock, how to knock the door, because you find these parliamentarians or these institutions have procedures. So what we do on the other form is that we try and facilitate engagement through training. We train citizens in terms of the parliamentary processes and procedures, the petition process, and how best they can engage with those parliamentarians. So this is basically our work with parliamentarians. So I'll move on to the specific work we have done with care leavers. We have worked with care leavers in Zimbabwe, and we've also been working with other care leavers in Southern Eastern Africa. You find that through child rights networks. So in Kenya, I know we have worked with the Eastern African Child Rights Network, and from Southern Africa, we've been working with them through the Child Rights Network of Southern Africa, known as QUINTA. So our work has been through the Child Rights Network organization. But specifically for Zimbabwean care leavers, you find that our work has been really to train them in terms of parliamentary processes and procedures, how they knock the door, how they come up with petitions, how they become friends of committees, so that committees can call them at any time to present their issues, and how they just keep interacting with members of parliament, because you find that if they have access to interaction with members of parliament, be it at their constituency levels, or maybe at the committee levels, you find that their issues can easily be addressed. So we're trying to create such platforms. So we do training on that, and we create platforms for them to engage with parliamentarians. Some of them are actually active in terms of participation on WhatsApp groups. We've created WhatsApp platforms for them to quickly interact on whatever issues that they have. And then we also offer support in terms of information sharing. You find that one of the barriers why care leavers do not participate in these processes or policies do not really respond to their needs is because they do not have access to information. Maybe access to information, I'm referring to the bills before Parliament, some of the legislation that will be before Parliament. So our organization tries to make sure that we simplify those bills to them. We give them summary of these bills so that when Parliament carries out its consultations, they're also able to give their voice. You know, there's a lot, they're affected very much by these bills, but sometimes because of lack of information, they're not aware of what's really happening. So we try and make sure that we bridge that gap in terms of providing information. We try and also provide analysis of the budgets. When the National Assembly tables the budgets, we analyze the budgets to help them pick how much has been given to social services, how much they will be benefiting. So from there, that's when they will be able to then debate and seek maybe platforms for them to engage with parliamentarians and to give their views. So basically, this is our work, and this is what we are trying to do with the care leavers, train them in terms of parliamentary processes, and also on the sidelines, because you find that most of the times we focus on training the care leavers in terms of parliamentary procedures, but we're also trying to train parliamentarians to try and help them change their behavior, because you find that the reason why they do not really change policies according to the needs of care leavers is sometimes they are not aware. Maybe sometimes they are just not aware of the issues. They don't understand. But if you explain to them and you try to change their behavior in terms of how they view care leavers, they'll be like, oh, so these are the problems that they're facing. We didn't even know. Just like what Jeffrey said, that when they sent their petition to Parliament, Parliament ended up saying, we actually have to carry out a study and move around to check what's really happening in this area. So we are also on the sidelines trying to change the behavior of our politicians, trying to change the behavior of our parliamentarians so that they view these care leavers as a very special, vulnerable group. So the reason why we chose to work with care leavers is mainly because we found that whenever we talk about social inclusion, when we talk about vulnerable or marginalized groups or excluded groups in the society, we leave them out. We start thinking about the common ones: disabled, women, children. And when we talk about children, we put them in a blanket form, not really focusing on other children within the children, to say from children as vulnerable groups. We also have care leavers who are transitioning from being children to adulthood, and they have needs, and they are very vulnerable in terms of dealing with the emotional or psychosocial things, and again the basic human rights needs. And you find the state being their parents, it's very important that we involve parliaments and all the institutions that can actually help them to make sure that the legislation is responding to their needs. I was excited to hear work that is being done by most of the care leavers. You're working with parliamentarians. Excited to hear the work that has been done in Sri Lanka around registration and childbirth registration. You find these are some of the challenges that the care leavers face, and these are some of the areas that parliaments can actually help in trying to make sure that the legislation is responding to their needs, making sure that the budgets are also responding to their needs. So this is our work, and I'm excited to be here. There's a lot that we can do. There's a lot that can be done by care leavers when they engage Parliament, because Parliament has got the power of the purse. They make laws that ensure that their lives are better. So with this, I thank you. Over to you, Karishma.
Thank you, Natasha. I'm really glad to hear all those points and to have this hear this and to know this possibility that we can reach out to government and talk about your issues and problem. Here I would like to mention that in the time of COVID-19 we also started a petition about the support for care leavers, and we went to the ministry, Women and Child Development Ministry here in India, in Delhi, and it was taken very well from them. But at the same time, I've realized this thing, that a lot of care leavers are not aware about their rights as care leavers, or as children in CCIs, in childcare institutions. So it is very, very important for all the CCIs, and even for the care leavers, the young adults who are out, to increase their knowledge, to be more aware, to study about the provisions and law. And it is very, very important for all the organizations to make their children more aware about the laws and provisions and their rights, so that they can stand and ask and raise their voices for the rights that they are not able to get. But before that, it is important that they should know about those rights. Here, I would like to hand over to Ruth. Ruth, are you there?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. It was just so impressive to listen to Natasha speak. And one of the things that I was reflecting on is how, just as Karishma is saying, we Calivers sometimes do not know their rights, and sometimes when they're faced with challenges, as much as we acknowledge that solutions are within the community, they may never know where to go to. So you have it's sort of like you have the right message, but you do not have the right audience for that message. And we know advocacy requires the right message to the right audience for us to have change. But even as we have the right audience, we need to have capacity to be able to do so. And that is where I think Natasha is coming in, to build the capacity to enable caregivers to engage parliamentarians. And I think that is quite a good approach. It's just bringing me back to, we do know and recognize the work ESRN is doing in Krensa in Kenya. We've shared a few platforms with them, but we haven't been really intentional in working with caregivers. And I'm thinking after this, I'm going to pick up a conversation and say, hey, it's time we worked intentionally with you so that we are to push for sustainable change. But as we know, governments are really different: Kenyan government, Ugandan government, and so on. But I do know that we, and you'll agree with me, that we need to just extend some grace to ourselves when we're working with parliamentarians, because they can be really, really political. At least Kenya Society of Caregivers has tried, and we have spoken to a number of them, but they're very slippery. But I appreciate that with organizations like what you guys are doing, if we had one in Kenya that is able to support, and even in the rest of the countries, just to stand there and support caregivers, for them to be able to push for this. It cannot be achieved alone. And so this also brings me to another amazing, amazing guest that we have, Yasmin from Egypt. She's working for Watanea, and I do know and we understand that you provide a lot of alternative care solutions and aftercare support for caregivers. But just let us know why you think this is important, it should be done, and caregivers need support. We are so looking forward to get from what the Horn of Africa has for us from you.
Thank you so, so much, Ruth. It really is an honor and a pleasure to be here with you all and to learn from the wonderful care leavers who shared their experiences and their knowledge. And I think this is the only way as organizations that we will grow and that we will move forward, through listening to the needs of the care leavers and through having them participate. And that being said, I want to echo, Ruth, what you and Jeffrey were mentioning about the care leaving journey being challenging often. And that's why we believe at Watanea that the journey starts from before leaving care. It starts from when the child is in the care home and grows to become a teenager and then starts to leave the institutional home or the care home. So this is how our network started. As Nahla was mentioning, I want to put on what she was saying. We started with a program in 2011 called Forza Program, which means opportunity, like she said. And basically this program was targeted at teenagers who still live in the institutional homes, to help them explore themselves and learn more about their strengths and how to build their strengths. And then when this program was coming to an end, there was an idea to build a network for youth above the age of 18, help them share their experiences and to help them share their knowledge and challenges that they may be facing together. So this youth forum, as Nahla was mentioning, started in 2018 with the main purpose of providing the youth a safe space to express themselves and to share their challenges and to share their experiences, but also to develop their skills and to give back to the community. So the first program when they were teenagers was more targeted towards learning and growing and knowing more about themselves, and the youth forum for the older youth became a platform for them to learn, but also to give back to the community and to have their voices be heard in different policy settings and in advocacy settings, to have them share their experiences with youth that were younger. And it then became open to not only the graduates of the Fursa program, but it also became open to youth from different care homes across Egypt, which allowed for more inclusion and more diversity. And they started sharing their experiences. They started to learn more from one another. And this enriched the forum very much. We talked about in the forum were ranging from exchanging the challenges and finding potential solutions together for challenges that they faced either in the institutional home or after they left care. So the youth forum became a mix of both care leavers and youth above 18 years who still live in the institutional home. And this gave it richness because they heard from one another and they learned a lot from one another. We also had experts in certain fields that the youth wanted to know more about, exchange knowledge with the youth and hear from the youth how they can develop different sectors, and the youth discussed with the experts different sectors such as policy changes as well as advocacy. And throughout the COVID period, we realized that there might be a need for more sessions. So we started to take on the sessions every 2 weeks or every week online with the youth to make sure that they felt supported and to make sure that they were expressing the challenges that they faced throughout the COVID pandemic, but also to feel like they were still learning, still engaging with one another, and they felt connected. And I do echo very much what the fellow organizations had mentioned and the wonderful care leavers, that we very often share similar challenges globally. And I think by coming together, such as this webinar, we can really exchange the experiences that we have and exchange the knowledge that we have and provide better support for the care leavers by listening to them and by participating with them in this change. And we hope in Wataniya that this forum becomes led by the care leavers for the care leavers at some point, that they take it on and that they expand it as they see fit. And we will always be there as organizations to support them in that, and to support this journey either through connections or through financial or emotional support. So thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be here with all of you, and we hope to continue this journey together on a global level and find solutions for potential challenges that come up as one. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
so
much,
Yasmin.
Yasmin.
Yes,
I like
Ruth?
that when my co-facilitator shares the same thing with me. It means just we are on the same page, and we are so happy to have all of you here. And just Yasmin and Natasha, I'm just thinking that perhaps all the civil society organizations that perhaps joined and are listening, to just be more intentional and just having to listen to both of you. Make it a priority that in the next steps they are going to support caregivers, and it will be important to listen to how that goes. Yeah, so Karishma, before we hand over to Chaturi, I am sure you also have something to say to her. It is so impressive. And yeah, I hope we just get started with other organizations coming on board and doing the same.
Yeah, Ruth, you're right. I just wanted to say that I really like the idea where Ms. Yasmin talked about giving a space, safe space to, young adults to express their ideas and to share. I think it is very, very important to make the care leavers and young adults realize and feel that they are people, you know, there to listen and to understand what they want to convey. Because trust me, when I get to, you know, meet people or the caregivers or talk to them, many of them are so scared, so shy, and they feel that even if I share, it won't matter, my voice won't matter. And so many times they don't want to talk about their issues, talk about their problems, because they feel that there is no solution to it. So I really feel that it is very important that they are given a, you know, space where they can talk and they can share about their problems. In recent times, I got to, you know, talk to a child, and he's 18, he's just 18, and he was talking to me, and he was saying that I never share what is going inside me. I never talk to anybody. I don't have much friends. And you know, I really felt bad how important it is for them to have people to talk, to have right mentors. And, you know, those mentors tell them that, you know, I have faced the same thing. You don't have to be scared or worry about anything. There is always a way. It's just that you don't have to give up. And there are people to support. The government is there for your service to help and support. You are there to support them. It's just that you need to talk, you need to raise your voice, and also be, you know, grateful and express your gratitude for all the love and support that you have got till now and how far you have reached today. So I think all the caregivers must and should feel all the love that is within them. They should not be scared. They should not feel scared to, you know, express that love and to open their heart to people outside and to the world outside them. And yeah, I think there is a lot to say, but we don't have much time. I hand over to you, Ruth. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, if I may now, thank you so much, Karishma and Ruth, both of you. So I think time again for a brief poll. Aviral, can you please help us here? Yes, Aviral, I think we can show the results now. Okay. Yes. Okay, this is quite encouraging. So 54% have already engaged with Caregivers networks. Okay, interesting. So I'm sure that, you know, with this webinar and the discussion, we are encouraging many more to start engaging. Yeah, so I think with that, we can now start with the second round of the panel discussion. So over to you once again, Ruth. Ruth? Ruth, you're on mute.
I'm so sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm still not a tech guru, but I'm working towards IT a lot. One of the things I am doing. Thank you so much. And I feel like we have learned more about what caregivers are doing in different parts of the world. We have also heard about organizations coming on board to support them. But I sort of feel like perhaps we need to delve deeper into some of the importance of these networks, and because we didn't have as much as time during when people were just presenting. But I just want us to be a little intentional on why we think that it's important for caregivers networks to come together. And Nemo, I just want to bring you back on board. If you can tell us from your own view why you think it is important for countries to have caregivers networks. But before you even speak, I appreciate those organizations that are engaging caregivers, and I love the poll that just ended. And one of the things I want to say is sometimes we have had organizations engage with
Nimo, you can hear us?
But they do not know how to reform. Okay, sorry for that. Yeah, so I am going to share the document, and perhaps all of you can just have a look at it. It was done by 25 caregivers from the network who all got really vulnerable and said what they feel. And organizations should know, policymakers should know before even they think of engaging caregivers. So over to you, Nemo. I just want you to tell us why you think it's important for us to have and consider having networks of caregivers, because some people will be like, yeah, it's not really important, why do we even come together? What, in your view, do you think is the importance and the relevance?
Thank you, Ruth. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank everyone in the first, and I think that because of network connection, I just heard that why it's important, the networking. So I just want to connect it with the point of this corona pandemic, because you would believe that when the curfew is in Sri Lanka, I was in the hostel where is my working place, and I was just getting all the 3 meals at the time, so I didn't had any problem. So I was just sleeping nicely, but there was one brother who I just get adoption, because he was also just 19 years, and from 4 years I was just looking after him, and he was living in the boarding house. He was also the caregiver. So he just called me and every time said that, sister, I don't have money, and I just lost my job, and what to do with this and all. So then only I realized that, oh my God, there are so many caregivers who are living in the boarding house. They also facing the same problem. So I thought that, oh my God, this I should be addressed. And I was just we had just discussed among the Generation Wake Up Network, and we just went to the resource, and we have asked that we should help for the caregivers who are living in the boarding house during the pandemic time. They are maybe in the helpless situation. So they were accepted us, and thanks that SOS have taken the priority, like taken the responsibility at first, because as a GNG network, we are working too much in the as a first in stage, but we don't have even a single rupees in GNG network. Even we don't have account at that time, but we should help for the caregivers. So we have just had this group called 18 Plus Alliance. This is also the kind of networking. So we have just posted them that we are just collecting so many caregivers details, and we were able to reach out to 20 care institutions in Sri Lanka and 157 caregivers who need support during the pandemic. So this is the importance of the networking, because without GNG network name, we can't reach out to the children's homes and the caregivers. So we have just put the message to the 18 Plus Alliance group, and we need this. We have this 157 caregivers. We need this help, and this help. Thank you for the 18 Plus Alliance. They were just amazing, and they were just give us what they need, what we have to do, and because of this networking, we were able to support 157 caregivers, including 108 caregivers. We have given money transfer, and for 30 caregivers also, we have given the dry rations also. So there were one caregiver, Moses Sakas, I must add his name here, because he was also one caregiver, but he was also just giving so many dry rations for other people in Sri Lanka, and he was giving priority to the Generation Nevegva members. So because of this networking, we have got so many people around us, and I must say thank you for all, because this networking made us to be connect with so many people, and I want to thank you for every people who help us during the pandemic to help me, because I know that now they are also in here, this group also. I must say thank you for, because of networking only we have got connected to the near to 18 plus children's homes in Sri Lanka and 157 caregivers, and we have increased the number of GNG members because of the pandemic. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Nimu. the importance of, networking with, caregivers in Sri Lanka. I really love your energy whenever you come up and talk about issues related to caregivers. Here, I would like to share one small incident. I get to hear one of the child protection officers, and while in the conversation I mentioned about caregivers, where he mentioned that we are not aware, and he's from government official where they need to take care of children, and he said that we are not aware that even after 18 we are responsible for children. All the laws, all the acts which are there, we very much talk about the children till 18, but we do not know as a person where do they go once they turn 18. And I was really surprised and shocked, and here I really feel when the government bodies many scenarios not aware what is happening to us. Here I really feel that governmental, non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations should come forward, to take care of the children who are out there all alone and nobody's there to support them. Yeah. And here initially I did not mention that clan, which is Care Leaver Association and Network. We get a lot of support from our SILK members, and especially I would like to mention here that we get a lot of support in our petition, in our workshops, in so many things from Udayan Care Family, which is an NGO in Delhi. And yeah, thank you, Nimu, once again. Here I would like to invite Ms. Martine again. What if I ask you the same question? What do you think peer-led networks, why do you think peer-led networks are important for care leavers? And what are some other ways in which youth leaving care can network and support each other, especially in the new normal era? Over to you, Martini.
Okay, yeah. I think it's really better to ask this question to care leavers themselves, because who am I to say something about the value of like peer-to-peer networks? But like luckily already Nimu told all of us something about this and her perspective. Do you still hear me?
Yes, Martini, please go ahead.
Yeah, over to you, Ruth.
Sorry. Okay. What I see is that care leavers deal with different issues and questions than youngsters who are living with their parents. So, for instance, we designed a very interactive peer-to-peer leaving care training where care leavers train future care leavers. And what you see is the common trust between care leavers. Because, for instance, normally in this kind of trainings, like social workers are warning, like, okay, please organize some kind of housing for yourself before you are leaving care, because otherwise, you get in trouble, la 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 la. But this is not like really powerful if it's said by professionals. So what we see is that care leavers, when they are doing the training course and when they are saying, okay, I experienced to sleep one night outdoors and it's really, really awful, so please organize yourself and organize some kind of housing for yourself, then this message is far more powerful. So this is something that's really, really valuable in my opinion. And besides that, we also started because care leavers networks, they always have also like some common action or common aim to change policies or make like the care for other kids in care like better or improve the quality of care. But we also started just a club for care leavers. And in the beginning it was called just the club. Now it's changed into Stay Connected by the young people themselves. And actually this is some kind of a pop-up club for care leavers where they can meet twice a month and reload their energy, because it's like a huge step if you are leaving the institution and if you are starting an independent life. So this is really, really, really important to work also on the informal aspect, because we experience in Europe a lot of loneliness. So actually the main idea of this club is like a sense of belonging, so that you belong to something. Because what we experienced is that like kids in families, they are mainly like members of, for instance, football clubs, or they are singing in a choir. But if you are 18 and you are leaving care, and the young people said, but I can start singing in a choir now, but I have no qualities for singing. So now I'm 18 and it's a bit stupid to start becoming a member of a choir when I can't sing myself, or to start playing tennis or football now at 18 is maybe a bit late, because I will not be as good as the others. And then again, I feel like not included, and it's a painful experience. So this club is like really there for care leavers, and they do all kind of different activities. And they said the main thing is that you don't need certain qualities to join the club. It's like everyone is welcome. There are even special members who have the task of like welcoming new members, so that you always feel included and part of the team. And this is something very, very nice. And it started last year, and I see a bright future for this, like informal clubs of care leavers in the Netherlands.
Thank you so much, Martin, for that. And I appreciate when you say trust between care leavers and a common goal. Those are my two pickup points. And sometimes organizations will tell even Udayan when they were trying to plan for this event alongside the care leavers. One of the things that we made clear is that care leavers can reach out to their fellow care leavers, because no care leaver want to trust just a stranger. And there are things that will not happen if they're not led by care leavers. And so there's that common trust between a care leaver. It's just interesting that the very first time I spoke to Jeffries over the phone, and he told me he was a care leaver from Zimbabwe. I didn't even want to care about a lot of other things, and I felt that's my brother, you know, and we don't even know each other. So there's just something that comes to you, just feel at home. You feel there's someone somewhere in the world that belongs to another mother, but you're from the same family, you know. And also the common goal that you spoke about. And so I appreciate we all acknowledge that it's important from what you're talking about, but we do also know that there are challenges that we experience in bringing care leavers networks together. So perhaps we could hear from Nahla. Nahla, what do you think are some of the challenges that perhaps care leavers face when forming networks and giving context to your own experience in Egypt?
Like everyone said, we have lots of challenges here in care leavers. The global, it's widely or a global issue, but here in Egypt, we the main challenge with the main challenges we face in Egypt is we don't have a proper preparation for what we are going to do after we leave our care homes. How to interact with the real world. Yes, we know we go to schools and university, but that's not enough. We needed our social skills to be improved and to be developed, because after we are 18 or sometimes we are 21, the orphanage close their doors, and we have no one to turn for advice or for support. So it's we are alone. And we also, we don't know how to deal with the real world, with our neighbors, with our work colleague, and the society. So like Jeffrey said, we are not that welcome into society, because we are stigmatized as being orphans or being care leavers. So when you have to live alone or to be independent, you need to hide your identity and start a new one, so the society will welcome you. Also, most of Egyptian care leavers leave the orphanage with a certain amount of money, and we don't have the knowledge or the knowledge to manage our resources, so we misuse it and we lose it. Also, as someone said, we have absence of specific legal legislation for care leavers here in Egypt. So I think it's a global issue, how we face the real world and how to react with excuse my lack of English, of course, but I want to say I think the orphanage needs to always be there to support us and to be always with us, and that's all I guess. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming through And of course, we can get what you're trying to say and giving context and all those challenges around capacity building. And that is why some of us here were talking about just giving capacity so that you're able to serve and you're able to improve the care system. We equally have some of the challenges here. And some of those are, they go, I would say we would want to trace them back to the outcomes of institutional care. And so by the time you're even forming a network, we need to be very clear on what the young people need, and are you able to meet the needs, or you're also going to create empty promises? But also, are we cautious enough not to create a dependency syndrome? Because we also need to be very cautious of that. And so I just want to hand over to Karishma because I need to have a glass of water, and I just feel like she could perhaps take over. Hi, Karishma, are you there?
Thank you so much, Ruth. And Nala, thank you so much for all those wonderful points. First of all, you speak wonderful English, and I can completely understand and relate to every word you said here. I would like to share one small example here. When, sometimes we get to talk to care leavers, in many scenarios, we get to hear when they are out after 18. First of all, I would say here that a child, when 18, in so many scenarios, I understand there are laws, there are provisions, but I doubt that it is completely implemented. And in so many scenarios with child, so many times they do not know how to take, a flat on rent. And in so many scenarios when they, go to
Karishma, I think you're having some internet issue. We cannot hear you. That's okay, Ruth. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Karishma, can you hear us?
No, I think she's having some connection issues. Ruth, perhaps you can continue. That's okay.
All right, it's okay. Fabian, could you just let us also hear from you on what you could say perhaps are the challenges in bringing oh gosh, my video is off. Okay, yes. Fabian, as I was saying, please could you let us know what you think around these challenges before you even think of crafting solutions?
Yeah, hello again. Well, I think care leaver networks do need support. I mean, it's really great when they can stand for them alone, but I think it's quite hard. What we face as difficulties in Austria is, for example, our care leaver association. It's a volunteering. It's a kind of a volunteering organization for all the care leavers and all the people who support us. Which means what we see is great in Germany is that they already have people who are really working there. Which means there are people who are working full time in the organization. They know everything about the organization, and they can really invest all of their time and all of their energy and all of their resources into improving the association. And what we see in Austria is that all members do have their own full-time job or higher education besides the association. And you really see that this often is a problem. We have kind of issues to come together to find a time where all members are free, which means, of course, the only possibility we can do this is on the weekends. But not even on the weekends everybody is free, because there are jobs or people who work on the weekends. And I think this is kind of a problem right now. What we see with with the coronavirus is that a lot of meetings and conventions and all the coming together was put online, and it's kind of a new normality to do everything online and to stay connected. And I think this is a good thing. Like it has been more easy to be connected because it's more normal to be connected online. And I think the Caliber the Caliber networks in general, what they need is people who are really motivated to do something, and they have to have the time. And last thing is, or another thing is, they need to be given the opportunity to do something. And I think this is quite difficult. And in the beginning, when we formed our Caliber Association, we just wanted to be connected, but we hadn't had a specific goal of the organization. And the goal, we had the goal to improve the situation of Calibers, but we didn't know how to do it. And what I think was great from the CSOs in Austria was they gave us the opportunity to change something. For example, they contacted us and said, well, we have here we have a new opportunity, we have a new project. Or for example, we have the Care Day, the International Care Day. It's, I think, on the 2nd or 3rd weekend in February. And they gave us the opportunity. Listen, we want to celebrate the Care Day in Austria, in Vienna. What we want to do is we want to give you the opportunity to have speeches. So we want to give you time, open time you can use to promote, to speak, to do whatever you think is good. So they gave us they gave us time and the structure around it to be heard. We had a full town hall full of people from everywhere who wanted to listen what we wanted to say, and we had podium discussions where we could really speak in front of people and say what we want. And what we wanted was we wanted to be taken into account. We wanted to be heard. We wanted to be integrated in the process of decision making, of changing, because a lot of mostly it's the CEOs or it's the government, everybody, but not Calibers who try to improve or who try to change the laws, the organizations all around of this big thing concerning Calibers. And Calibers are not often taken into account. And we really liked it to be given this opportunity. So
thank you so much for being.
Just
are you there?
What I really like now is the CEOs in Austria, they actively contact us. So they really appreciated that we, the Caliber Association in Austria, exists, and it's an organization, it's an association. You can just actively talk to who you can invite to have a dialogue.
Oh, all right, Fabian. I'm just having to stop you, Ada, because of time, and I know some people are getting impatient, so you'll forgive me because I want to quickly first just to acknowledge that just as we have challenges, we also have, just as we have challenges with care leavers, we have challenges with civil society organizations coming on board and supporting. And so for that reason, I want to invite Mr. Divakar to just tell us what are some of the challenges they face in at least 2 minutes, well, a minimum of 2 minutes. I'm just going to give you 2 minutes so that I don't want to keep losing people some are hungry, some need to get onto other meetings. So thank you so much and welcome, Mr. Divakar.
Agree. I'll make it 2 minutes. The biggest challenge as an organization we face to support caregivers is one is we don't have a database of the caregivers. Of course, as an organization we have, but when you go back to the government or the state to ask for a database, who are the caregivers from any other alternative care, we don't have a solid database. This is very important. As a solution, we are trying to work with the government, especially the Generation Never Give Up and 18 Plus Association, to get this organized. So I will also quickly cover that. Number two, recognition is very, very important for caregivers. When I say recognition, they have to have a constitution, they have to have a proper bank account, they have to have their minutes, they have to have their audited accounts, which will help the organization to support them. Plus, they also can apply for IPDs, which is International Partner Development. It's available now, because I find it otherwise it's difficult for the organization to support the caregivers if they are not properly recognized and if they don't have the proper documents in order. So these two are very important. Quickly, within the next 30 seconds, they should have a place, registered place. Of course, it's a little difficult, but I'm pretty sure with this today's network meeting, people will come forward, support them to have a place with an address, so that will also support the organization where they know there is an organization and they have an address and they have a place where they could write to them and see whether the functions are going on. Of course, there are more challenges and solutions to be given, but for the moment, I'll hold it here. For the place, we are also as a solution working with the government. We are asking the ministry whether they could give a place, but it is all in initial stages. I'm pretty sure JNG network will go forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Short and
Thank
precise,
you very much.
very, very precise.
I think Ruth, Karishma, we can start wrapping up now because we are actually quite overboard with the time. So I think we may unfortunately have to wrap up now, although we had some more very interesting, important questions and the panelists came ready to respond, but I'm so sorry. But because we are losing the participants, I think we can, of course, continue with this discussion, over the next couple of months too, because this is, as I mentioned, just the first event under the Caregivers Convention. So Ruth, Karishma, if you can briefly say anything as, kind of last responses or comments, and then I will wrap up. Thank you.
Ruth, you want to go ahead or you want me to say something?
I would just want to say, this was very important. It's a conversation that we needed to have. And as we said, yes, I am just excited that when we were just beginning, we had 171 participants. And that just tells you how much 171 people cannot come together if the conversation is not really, really relevant. And so for me, it's impressive. But also just, I would want to know how many caregivers were part of this, so that we can make sure that next time we try to fix these gaps. And just like I said before, and for the purpose of the organizations that are here, is that we need to really, 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 really think and give priority to caregivers. Let's just come on board. And I'm also hoping caregivers will have the right documents for them to qualify to get support from organizations, because we need support, but we also have a responsibility on our end. And on behalf of the African Caregivers Networks and the people who have allowed me to be here today, thank you so much to Kenya Society of Caregivers, and of course to our chair, Samora Korea, who was on the call. I just want to say thank you. To Diane and everyone on the organizing committee, thank you for making this possible. Chathuri, for all the sleepless nights. And so over to you, Karishma. Dr. Kiran, before I even wrap up, we love you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. And yes, I can't wait for the second round.
I agree with every word Ruth you have said. Thank you very much to everyone here. We have a long way to. I would like to hand over to Chakri here, and last but not the least, thank you to each one of you from the bottom of my heart. And we are very, very happy to see all the people here on this platform. And we are sure that we have a long way to go and we'll keep connected with each other. Thank you very much. I hand over to you, Chatri.
All right. Thank you so much, Ruth and Karishma, and to all the panelists as well, of course. And that was an amazing dialogue indeed. And it's such a pity that we could not, complete the whole discussion. But if I'm to quickly recap or reiterate some of the most significant parts of this dialogue, perhaps as key takeaways for all of us, we learned like why care leavers networks are so important, for them to feel that they're not alone, that they too have a family, for peer support, both economically and emotionally, and especially for speaking out collectively, whether it's about birth certificates or employment, or to demand accountability from policymakers or all other stakeholders. And it's so very important, especially in crisis situations like the current global pandemic. And we learned how care leavers themselves are mobilizing themselves to support each other and, voice out their concerns. And, as I think the Latin American group said, it's not a sprint, the care leavers have to walk together and speak together. And also care leavers are looking for fair, progressive solutions. And that is why they are collectivizing and mobilizing themselves, and they need to be heard, to be treated equally, to be given a chance and not to be left behind. And also, they need to be supported not only financially, not only emotionally or in terms of skill building, but financially also, in order for them to be able to engage in social and system change, to attend meetings or, whatever it is, but they do need to be supported. And there is, in this regard, there is much and so many ways in which civil society organizations like us can do to support care leaver networks, whether it's by engaging them in parliamentary or national budgetary processes, or by creating apps that facilitate connection or finding job opportunities. We as civil society, each of our organizations has the capacity to, reach out to support them even in a small way. And especially, there's a huge opportunity for us to share information with care leavers, because that is such, an empowering factor for the care leavers. And as I would like to reiterate, there is something that each and every one of us can do to support. And here, finally, I would like to suggest, I think one of the participants here also had proposed this, the formation of an international care leavers network, as in a network of the different networks. So that is, something logistically we can now talk about moving forward, as we have all these representatives of the different care leavers networks all around the world, and more will be joining us. And here I would like to mention that as a next step, like some of them will be joining the organizing committee as well, to make the decisions as a part of the decision-making body, because slowly they will start to drive the process. And hopefully in 2022, they will, when we are doing the next convention, they will take up the whole responsibility, and they will completely be driving the whole thing. So in concluding, on behalf of SOS Children's Villages and the organizing committee, I would like to thank you all so much once again for taking time, especially on a Saturday, to take part in this event and support our young care leavers and listen to their voices. And special thanks to all our panelists and moderators who extended their maximum support, and at such short notice too. We organized the whole thing in just 2 weeks, so truly appreciate it. And we hope that you all found it an insightful dialogue and would be interested in getting involved, either to form care leavers networks, join or support such networks, and other collectivization processes that help these youth living alternative care, and as they transition into independent living, and as they strive to fulfill their aspirations. And especially now at this time of a pandemic, they all need our support. So please do reach out, and please feel free to contact any of the panelists who spoke out today. If you wish to learn about or connect with their networks, organizations, you can write to us directly if you want to get their contact details. And so thank you once again, and we invite you to join us in the coming weeks as well. The next event is the next Saturday. It's about Caliver's, storytelling and video making. So all the details have been posted on the chat box. So please register for the upcoming events, and please help us spread the message as well. And you can follow us on our social media handles as well. And I would now like to request you to take just a few minutes to fill in a very brief feedback survey, which you will now see on your screen. Thank you so very much. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Have a wonderful weekend. And while everybody's filling up the survey, I would like to request the panelists and the moderators to please switch on your cameras because the organizing committee would like to take a screenshot, a photograph. Thank you so much. Aviral, do we have the feedback form up?
Yeah, so it has been shared in the chat, and as well as
Right,
whenever
okay.
anyone
Right.
exits, they'll get that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, then have a great day ahead, a great weekend ahead. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Are you ready to take the photo? Lena, are you ready? Please advise.
Done, Chaudhary.
Okay, great. All right,
Thank
then.
you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye.